She wrote in a letter before her flight, "I need a break to think. This isn't working." I responded, "I hope you find clarity." At the airport, she took off her ring and her hand trembled, her voice shook. Then I showed her best friend the second plane ticket I found. When her friend exposed the solo trip, I, Daniel, 37, male, had been with Chloe, 35, for 9 years, married for 7. Our life in Portland, Oregon, was comfortable, if a little stagnant. I worked as a lead software engineer for a tech company, earning a solid $150,000 a year. Chloe managed a small, independent bookstore, bringing in $40,000 annually. We owned a charming bungalow in the Eastmoreland neighborhood and enjoyed quiet evenings, often cooking at home or visiting local breweries. Our social circle was modest, mainly revolving around a few couples we had known since college. One Tuesday morning, an email landed in my inbox from a recruiter. It was for a director of engineering position at a burgeoning AI startup in Austin, Texas. The offer was extraordinary, a base salary of $280,000, a substantial stock option package, and a full relocation allowance. It was the kind of opportunity that could redefine our financial future and put us on a completely different trajectory. I envisioned a larger house, financial freedom, and a new adventure. I presented the idea to Chloe over dinner. I detailed the growth potential, the warmer climate, and the exciting tech scene in Austin. She listened, picking at her pasta with a faraway look. When I finished, she slowly put her fork down. "Austin is so cliché for tech people," she said dismissively. "And what about my bookstore?" I explained that she could pursue similar passions, maybe even open her own store there. "Or just enjoy a break," I added. She shook her head. "You always think your career is more important. My work here matters." Her tone was cold. "This feels like you're trying to escape our life, not improve it." Her words hung heavy in the air. The thought of leaving everything behind, especially my beloved city and friends, was daunting. Yet, her immediate rejection, bordering on an accusation, felt unfair. It implied I was selfish for even considering such an opportunity. The conversation ended with a quiet tension, a new wedge driven between us. Update 1. Despite Chloe's dismissive reaction, I quietly accepted the Austin offer. The recruiter had given me a strict deadline, and the opportunity was too significant to let pass. Her words about my supposed selfishness still stung, but they also solidified my resolve. I realized that my own professional growth often took a back seat to her perceived needs, and this time, I wouldn't let it. She continued to make small, undermining comments. At our weekly dinner with our friends, Mike and Sarah, she brought it up. "Daniel thinks we should just abandon everything for his big tech dream," she said, rolling her eyes. "My bookstore is my passion, but I guess that doesn't matter." Mike shrugged. "It's a huge move, Dan. Chloe has her roots here." Sarah added, "You have to consider her feelings. Her career is important too." Their words echoed Chloe's sentiments, painting me as inconsiderate. I offered no defense. I simply nodded, absorbing their collective disapproval. That same week, I started making my private preparations. I opened a new individual investment account, funded solely with my own accumulated bonuses, and a portion of my separate savings. I spent evenings researching Austin neighborhoods, focusing on areas with good schools and vibrant cultural scenes, places like Zilker and South Congress. I mentally mapped out my new life, a life built on my terms. I found a few promising houses within my new budget, spacious and modern, far different from our cozy bungalow. Update 2. 2 weeks later, I broke the news to Chloe. We were sitting in our living room, the evening quiet except for the distant hum of city traffic. I chose my words carefully, keeping my voice level. "Chloe, I've accepted the director position in Austin." She looked up from her book. "You accepted it?"
"Yes."
I confirmed. "My start date is in 8 weeks. I have to be there." Her book slammed shut. Her eyes flashed with an emotion I couldn't quite decipher, a mix of disbelief and anger. "You made that decision without me." "I considered everything," I replied. "This is a life-altering chance for us." "For you?" she corrected, her voice rising slightly. "My life is here. My store is here." She stood, facing me with an ultimatum in her eyes. "You can have your fancy new job, Daniel, or you can have me. You can't have both." I looked at her, remembering her letter, the one I had found hidden, tucked beneath a stack of old magazines. It mentioned a solo trip to clear her head. The words felt hollow now. I thought about the life we had built, the one she seemed so willing to dismantle to protect her own comfort. I had given her my full support for years, unwavering. This was my turn. I choose my future, I stated, my voice firm. Update 3. The aftermath was a period of bewildering quiet. Chloe retreated into a cycle of denial and thinly veiled anger. She would sometimes act as if the move wasn't happening, discussing weekend plans, then moments later erupt in a bitter tirade about my selfishness. I maintained a calm, detached demeanor. I continued to sort through our belongings, separating mine from hers, a meticulous process that felt strangely therapeutic. I handled all the logistics of selling our house, finding a good real estate agent, and coordinating with the moving company. On moving day, Chloe was absent. She left a note on the kitchen counter, short and unyielding. I need space. Don't contact me. The house echoed with the sound of boxes being sealed and furniture being carried out. There was no final confrontation, no emotional farewell. It felt less like an ending and more like the inevitable conclusion of a poorly managed project. I drove my Tesla Model 3 south, through endless miles of desert and plains, toward my new beginning. The journey was long, giving me ample time to process. I felt a sense of liberation, a quiet certainty that I was heading in the right direction. The first sight of Austin's skyline, shimmering under the Texas sun, felt like a vibrant new chapter. My new home was a modern, spacious house in Zilker, a beautiful neighborhood near the Colorado River. It had 3 bedrooms, a large backyard, and an office space perfect for remote work. The air was warm, and the city hummed with a different energy than Portland. My new job was challenging, leading a team of bright, innovative engineers. The pace was exhilarating, and I quickly immersed myself in the complex projects. This was not just a career move, it was a complete reinvention of my life. Update 4. 6 months into my new life in Austin, I was thriving. The city's energy was infectious. I had traded Portland's drizzly gray for Texas sunshine, and the change of scenery felt invigorating. I joined a local CrossFit gym, something I'd always wanted to do, and found a new community there. Weekends were spent exploring hiking trails in the Greenbelt or paddleboarding on Lady Bird Lake. I was making new friends, people who appreciated my drive and shared my enthusiasm for technology and healthy living. My professional life soared. I successfully spearheaded the launch of a new AI-driven analytics platform, significantly increasing the company's market valuation. My leadership was recognized by the CEO during a company-wide town hall. A few weeks later, my quarterly performance review confirmed my value. I received a generous performance bonus of $45,000 and a subtle hint that a promotion was on the horizon. I used some of the bonus to buy a classic Ford Bronco, a rugged yet stylish vehicle perfect for Texas adventures. One afternoon, my phone buzzed with a message from an unfamiliar number. It was Sarah, Chloe's best friend. "Hey Daniel, heard things are going great for you in Austin. How's the new job?" I responded with a polite, brief answer. "Things are excellent, Sarah. The job is challenging and rewarding." A follow-up text arrived quickly. "Chloe's been having a tough time. The bookstore isn't doing so well, and she misses Portland." I chose my words carefully. "I'm sorry to hear that. I hope she finds her footing." I put my phone down, feeling a familiar distance. My past was a closed book, and I had no desire to reopen its pages. Update 5. My first anniversary at the Austin company arrived with a significant milestone. My boss, the CEO, announced my promotion to Chief Technology Officer. The new compensation package was truly life-changing: a base salary of $420,000, a substantial increase in stock options, and a seat on the executive board. That evening, I updated my LinkedIn profile. The new title and the company's recent market success made the post particularly impactful. I thought little of it beyond the professional sphere. The next morning, my phone lit up with messages from Chloe. The first was just a shocked CTO. Then, a flurry of texts followed. "You never told me it was this big. You said it was just a director role." Another message read, "You always downplayed your success, Daniel. This is incredible." I ignored them. Later that day, I received a call from Mike. He sounded genuinely contrite. "Dude, I owe you an apology," he said. "Chloe painted a completely different picture. We thought you were just chasing some mid-level job. What did she tell you? I asked, my voice calm. She said you were being irrational, abandoning your life for a minor pay bump, he explained. She even hinted you were looking for an excuse to leave. After the call, I opened my laptop. I had saved the letter Chloe had written, the one mentioning her need for a break and a solo trip. I also had the confirmation email for the second plane ticket I had found in our shared inbox, a ticket for her solo trip partner. It was dated weeks before she wrote her letter, addressed to a familiar name. I took clear screenshots of both the letter and the second plane ticket confirmation. I found Sarah on Instagram. She had recently posted a picture with Chloe, captioning it, "Besties forever, supporting each other through everything." I sent Sarah a direct message. "I think you need to see something about your bestie." I attached both screenshots. Update 6. The fallout from my message to Sarah was swift and brutal for Chloe. Sarah, a fiercely loyal friend, was devastated by the revelation of the second plane ticket. She confronted Chloe immediately. The solo trip charade, already flimsy, collapsed under the weight of undeniable proof. Chloe's betrayal was exposed not by me, but by her closest confidante. A week later, I was working from home when my doorbell rang. It was Chloe. She stood on my doorstep in Austin, looking disheveled and distraught. Her eyes were red. "Daniel, please," she began, her voice hoarse. "I had to see you." "Why are you here, Chloe?" I asked, keeping my tone flat. "I need to explain," she pleaded. "I made terrible choices. I was scared enough to lie about a solo trip," I asked. "Scared enough to betray my trust." She flinched. I was confused. "I made a mistake, a huge mistake. I realize it now." She stepped closer, her voice thick with desperation. "I want to come back, Daniel. I want to fix this. I miss you. I miss us." I looked at her, remembering the casual way she removed her ring at the airport, her trembling hand, her shaking voice, trying to convince me of her feigned distress. The image of her deceptive letter and the hidden plane ticket still felt fresh. "There is nothing to fix," I said, my voice quiet but firm. "That part of my life is over. Your actions, your deception, they ended it. You need to leave." I closed the door gently. Update 7. Chloe did not accept my refusal gracefully. A few weeks after her visit, I began receiving anonymous emails and social media messages attacking my character. They accused me of being a ruthless career climber, of abandoning my wife, and of being cold and unfeeling. The tone and specific details made it clear these attacks originated from her, or someone very close to her. She was attempting an online smear campaign. This time, I was prepared. I immediately forwarded all the communications to my lawyer. My lawyer, a sharp litigation expert named Brenda, acted swiftly. She sent a cease and desist letter, clearly outlining the potential for defamation charges and providing undeniable evidence of Chloe's previous deceptions. Brenda also informed her that any further attempts to disparage me online would be met with legal action. The online claims against me quickly evaporated. Some of the anonymous accounts were deactivated. Others were publicly questioned by former friends who had already heard about Chloe's lies regarding the solo trip and the second plane ticket. Sarah, in particular, took to her own social media to quietly, but effectively discredit Chloe's accusations without naming her directly. Chloe's attempts to undermine me only served to further damage her own reputation. Her credibility was completely destroyed. Update 8. 2 years had passed since I moved to Austin. My life felt incredibly full and balanced. I was deeply involved in my role as CTO, leading cutting-edge AI initiatives. My financial situation was more secure than I had ever imagined. I was sharing my life with Sophia, an architect I had met through mutual friends at a local art gallery opening. She was intelligent, kind, and possessed a quiet strength I admired. We had recently bought a larger house together, a beautiful modern home overlooking the Austin cityscape. We often talked about our future, our plans for travel, and building a family. One quiet Sunday afternoon, I received a final email from Chloe. It was short, devoid of the previous accusations or desperation. She simply wrote, "I've started therapy. I understand now the mistakes I made. I truly regret hurting you." I read the words and felt a distant echo of the past, but no emotional resonance. Her journey was hers alone. I composed a brief, neutral reply. "I wish you well on your path." I clicked send. It was a final closing of a door I had already walked through. Final update, a few months later, I was back in Portland for an industry conference. During a reception, I saw a familiar face across the crowded room. It was Chloe's mother, Evelyn. She looked older, her face etched with a quiet sadness. She approached me hesitantly. "Daniel," she said, her voice soft. "I didn't expect to see you here." "Hello, Evelyn?" I replied, maintaining a polite distance. "I wanted to apologize," she began, her eyes meeting mine. "For everything. For how we judged you. For believing Chloe's version of events." She paused, taking a shaky breath. She finally told us the truth about the trip, about everything. "We are so deeply sorry for not seeing it sooner, for not supporting you." "I appreciate you saying that, Evelyn," I answered. "You deserved better," she added, her voice barely a whisper. "You truly did." I nodded slowly, acknowledging her words. As she walked away, I reflected on the journey. Betrayal leaves a bitter taste, but clarity brings a unique form of peace. The lesson was stark and clear. Trust is not a given. It is earned through consistent honesty and mutual respect. When trust is broken, especially through calculated deception, there is no rebuilding. It is better to walk away, to build a new life rooted in truth and genuine connection. My life in Austin, with Sophia, was proof that endings could be beginnings, and that true peace came from aligning my actions with my integrity.